Hi, everyone. Dom Famularo again. Mapex All Access. Boy, I get the chance on Mondays through Mapex to have the chance of being able to talk to some really, really great players who really are the future of where drumming is going. And today, I've got a fantastic young artist. Would you please welcome Mr. Bruce Briggs? Bruce, nice to have you here.
What's going on, man?
Bruce, I love seeing you when I see you at NAMM and see you at different events as we do
Absolutely.
things. You and I got to tell you something. I'm a huge fan of your playing, man. You are so in the groove and in the pocket, and you're so committed when you're playing. And this just it really is great to see this younger generation have the kind of dedication and just the real passion that you have. So thanks for joining me today.
Man, absolutely. I told you earlier, I'm nervous, but you are my guy. You are the general. I love you. You have been just a mentor to everybody. And since, like I said, we met at NAMM, you have literally been the guy. Like, everybody talks about Dom. Everybody, have you seen Dom today? What, like, go by, but you always have wisdom and everything. But like, you appreciate it. So I love it.
Thank you so much. Well, what I enjoy about these sessions is it's absolutely not about me. It's about you. And I want everyone to kind of get to know what you're doing, when you started. So let's kind of go back to the early days of you first playing drums and getting involved with music. How young were you, and what got you involved in drumming?
Oh man, church. I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but church. And just growing up in church, listening to music, being a part of this, just that gospel community. That's really where I got my start. And it was kind of one of those things where I went and said, you know what? All right, I want to go. And I think I was probably about maybe like 3 or 4, just kind of going. And after church is done, you kind of going behind and trying to pick up sticks and, do that kind of thing. And one day, I think I was probably about 4. I think it was about 4. And I went to go, just kind of play on the drums or whatever. And they basically like kicked me off. It was just like, yo, don't, so I ran to my dad and I buried myself in him. I was crying and I said, they won't let me play, whatever. And my dad was like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. One day they're going to call you and they're going to pay you to play. And that's basically what happened. And then 5 years old, our youth, like the kids choir, like the what they call like the Sunshine Band, basically. They were doing something and the drummer didn't show up, and I knew the song, and I played my first, like, it wasn't just a song, but I played in front of the whole church at 5 years old, and everybody went nuts, and I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what it is. So yeah, that's what happened, saying in church.
Boy, it's so great to hear about the church beginnings, because it's just such a fantastic, strong value of you performing and just being able to get the acknowledgement. So what kind of band was it? Was it a full band? Because some of these church bands are amazing.
Yeah, so I was born in Seattle, and I lived there until I was probably about 10 years old. And so we were a part of one of the kind of biggest kind of growing churches at that point in Seattle, Washington. So we had it was a full band. It was drums, 2 keyboard players, or it was that.
Wow.
And so that's why it was so crazy, because I'm like literally this 5-year-old kid who was playing drums that everybody kind of knew would bang on things, but that's just kind of what it was. And so just, yeah, in the youth, it was that. But yeah, that's it was a big thing.
So where do you think you got the skills? There's 2 things. It's the skills to be able to play even at 5 years old, but it's also the confidence.
Yeah.
What drove you to do that?
Man, I would say my parents. Like, my parents are just great. If everybody who meets my mom and dad, they're just like, we love your parents and da-da-da-da, but they always have this confidence, know who you are, you're supposed to be in the room type situation. And that's kind of where I got it from. And then I didn't really connect the dots to my creative side, that my mother's mom who she passed away in 2017, but I got a lot of my creativity from her. And I didn't realize that until I got older. But she was a very confident woman, very, I know what I'm doing, that type of person.
And from Seattle, then you went to North Carolina.
Yeah. So my parents are from North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Shout out to everybody who's there. They're from there. My dad was in the military, of course. Went to Seattle. They had me. He got out. And as I was growing up, they said, we want to move you to, a place where there's family and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what they did. And they said, all right, well, cool. This is what we're going to do. So we moved back to North Carolina. And when we moved to North Carolina, that's when like the real playing starts. So I did elementary in Seattle, and then middle school and high school in North Carolina.
So were you in the music program in school, in public school?
What's crazy, so I was, but I didn't start doing drums. I was actually playing trumpet.
Oh, interesting.
And it was like 6th grade, and I kind of messed around with it, and I was all right, but I did not stick with it at all. Once I did that, middle school to high school, music was kind of there just because I was playing drums, but I was baseball. I was a baseball player. I was going to the MLB, and that was the thing. So baseball was my main focus, and drums kind of like was a side thing.
So you got involved in the church also in North Carolina?
Oh, for sure. Bible Belt, everything. And so just kind of playing, I grew up Baptist, so playing in different churches and things like that. And then I got the opportunity to start playing for one of the biggest multicultural churches in Fayetteville. Shout out to Covenant Love Family Church. And I owe a lot of my career and learning and playing to really 3 guys that were there. Kenny Oxendine, who was the MD. He was the MD, he was a bass player, and he was phenomenal. And he really taught me how to play to a click, how to have a pocket, what pocket meant, because back then it was just all chops and all that kind of stuff. And then Philip Russ, who was our sound guy, he was our main front of house guy, and my guy Nelson Moore. And they always kind of joked with me a little bit. It was just like, you are, you all over the place and you just doing da-da-da. And they calmed me down and they taught me how to play to a click, how to play to a track, how to sit in the groove and all of that. So I owe a lot of that to them, Kenny, Phil, and Nelson.
Boy, I have a question here.
Okay.
And we have people already, Bruce, that are logged on from all around the world that are listening to us right now.
Wow.
From both US and Canada and Europe. And what's amazing is that here's a question from Carson Groenworld. Carson is a phenomenal drummer.
Okay.
And I think he's in the Virginia area where he lives. He's taking some lessons with me. But he said, what is the education like in the churches? Is there a drum teacher? Do you guys, do you learn from senior drummers in the church? Do you get together every Sunday? When do you rehearse? What's the process like?
Yeah, so the education is kind of getting where you fit in. You watch the other guys, because when you're little, then there are senior drummers in the church, and you just kind of watch them every Sunday. Literally, it's like a musician corner, what we call it. And so all the musicians who are, young and old are coming in together and literally watching these guys play every Sunday. And then you kind of get into a place to where you say, okay, is it my turn? Can I get in? Like, can I play? The goal in church, I'll tell you this, the goal in church is to try to play the offering song or to play the outro song of when everybody's getting ready to leave. That is the goal when you are a little kid. When you're like 5 to about 10 or 12, you want to do that. That's what you want to do.
Are those tunes the bigger tunes? Or those are the
bigger tunes. Those are the fun tunes where you can, really kind of let loose and groove and all that kind of stuff. Because everything else, praise and worship is like praise and worship to a small kid is literally like you playing for Britney Spears. That's not something that you can do. You let the senior drummers do that. But the offering song, they've done praise and worship. They kind of looking around like they want to go to the bathroom or something. Who can I call on to do the praise, the offering song? And all right, we've done all the shouting and all that other kind of stuff that we've done. Now we're getting ready to leave, and I want to go because the game is about to come on. Who can I get to, play the outro song?
Boy, so what happens then with the process here as far as do you ever get together and have any kind of rehearsals with the process?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, once you become a player in the kind of roster of church, whatever, they definitely do have rehearsals, and you might have you could totally be there depending on how you grew up. You could be there almost every night, or you could be there basically like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So one day it might just be band rehearsal, another day it might be band and singer rehearsal, and then Sunday you come in and everybody is doing the quote unquote church service, thing like that.
Boy, fantastic. Carson, thanks so much. What a great question. So in this process now, here you are, you're playing. Was there any specific music you were listening to at this time? What influences were you taking musically?
I mean, gospel, of course, is a huge influence. But I also was a person that listened to a lot of stuff. Just because of what was going on just in my life. Like I said, I was playing drums, but I was also traveling and doing certain things because I was playing baseball. And so that opened me up to a lot of stuff. Baseball actually opened up to me to country music, which we can get into that later. But that, because at first I was just like, I don't like this. And then I started listening to my friends. I was like, oh, this is actually great. But I listened to everything. I listened literally to everything. But in the gospel community, between Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, Donnie McClurkin, the Winans Commission, all of those. But Fred Hammond was the guy, and I studied Marvin McQuitty. And Marvin, God rest his soul, literally to this day is my favorite drummer of all time. I learned that you could do this professionally through him. And so that was the thing. So I was like, oh, okay, you can do other things. And then, you start getting into the Teddy Campbells and all that kind of stuff. And Teddy was the one that showed me that, oh, I can do both. I can actually do gospel, and I can go over and do the pop and the rock and the R&B and stuff like that. So I always was influenced by by those guys, Marvin and Teddy and Gerald Hayward and Aaron Spears and JoJo from Slipknot and like all of those guys. I listened to all of that stuff because I never wanted to be boxed in. I'm from Seattle, man. So punk rock, Nirvana, all that kind of stuff was a thing for me.
Boy, that's powerful that you have allowed yourself to be influenced by such a wide variety of music, which is a very important part of being able to expand our learning.
Yeah. I credit my parents to that again, because they let me, they kind of let me dib and dabble and to certain things that of course were permitted, basically. They didn't let me get into anything super crazy, but I know that they could always tell my mood by what music I was playing in my room that day. If I was upset, I was playing some rock and some stuff or whatever. If I was nice, it's like some little classical, whatever the case may be. So that's the thing. Oh, my mom is on here now. Hey, Mom.
Is she on there now?
Yeah, Delana Michelle.
Oh, that's fantastic. So here you are doing this here now. So you're listening to all this different music. You made the move from Seattle. Now you're in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. When did theater and acting and dancing come in? When did all that start to come in?
12 years old. So my godfather, when I moved to North Carolina, I was in a dance crew with my grandmother, who is my mom's mom, Linda Amos. And she had a dance crew called Hosanna Praise. and literally we would. The word is basically tour, pretty much. But at that time, we were just kind of going different cities. They would ask us to come, and dance. And one day we went to a church, and it was kind of another one of the bigger churches in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I met this guy named Ranger McLaurin, and we immediately clicked. He was another, older than me, but he was another kind of mentor in that space. And what he would do is he was a very, very big theater head, and he was a playwright, and he would write plays and he would do them at the church. But they were kind of they were church plays, but they were kind of like on the edgy type, he loved Broadway and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of professionalism in that. And one day he was just like, he literally called me and said, "Hey, I have a role for you to play." And I was just like, "Oh, like, okay." Like, I watched Disney and all that kind of stuff, but I never done it before. And he threw the script at me and was just like, "Hey, here's your, this is your lines and this is what you do," and da da da. And immediately I got it. And that's when the bug got me, and I was done. So dancing was like immediate 12, 13, 14, that whole thing was a thing for me. It opened me up to a lot.
Well, it's interesting that you have that level of confidence that you need to be able to be involved with acting and being on stage and dancing and then having music in your life.
Yeah.
That's a pretty full plate to be involved with.
Yeah, it is. It's a different experience. And it helps my drumming a lot. Just with me, and if obviously you've seen me play, but like, other people have seen me play, they're just like, yo, like, because I'm very animated and I'm very, I have locks, so my hair is almost everywhere, and and it's a thing, and I love it, and you can tell that I love it, and so I put all of my passion and all that kind of stuff, into that.
Well, your mom just mentioned children's theater in Seattle.
Yeah. So in the midst of me doing everything that I was doing in North Carolina, after high school and all that kind of stuff, I moved back to Seattle, and in 08, and I linked up with Broadway bound children's theater, and I think the first play that they were going after was Wizard of Oz. And was it Wizard of Oz? Yeah, it was Wizard of Oz. And I was just like, why not? Let's just see. And I was with them, and I did that, and it was amazing. It was great. And it was crazy because they had an intermingling of adults and kids. And so the kids would play, these roles, and you look and say, "Oh man, these kids are really good. They're not kids. Like, they are real actors that love doing this stuff." And then you have us as adults that are like, "Okay, we might need to step up a little bit." You know what I mean? And so that was fun, man. I did that, and then they came back probably about a year later and said, "Hey, we're gonna do basically our run with adults," and we did Cats, and I was in Cats.
How cool is
that? I'm Tugger, so that was crazy.
How cool is it? Well, it's great that your parents and your mom supported you in doing this area. This is really incredible. So now, when was your first musical gig where you're playing drums and you start to commit to playing professionally at that level?
Oh man, that pretty much was kind of through church to a certain degree. I started. I had gotten older and was playing at a church in North Carolina, and they basically would bring different gospel artists in.
Oh, interesting.
So what they would do is they would have that, and they would have the house band basically situation, and we would have to learn songs. So that's when I got the chance to play with people where Tamala and David Mann from the Tyler Perry plays, and Jay Moss, and who, I mean, they were bringing everybody. They were the catalyst pretty much for that. And
Right.
so that's pretty much when it started. I started doing that, and then just kind of off and on, and then playing around town, and doing that kind of thing and getting paid, $50 here to do, say a club gig or whatever the case may be. And I'm doing club gigs and I'm not even supposed to be in a club. Like I'm 15 and 16 years old and they're like, you're going to play, but just stay by the door, stay right here. Don't go nowhere. Don't even drink anything. Like don't do nothing because we don't want to get kicked out. And so that was the thing. And then, I think I was like 17, and this girl that I had been listening to, MySpace, of course, was huge back then.
Right.
I've been listening to her on MySpace, and she popped up and did a record, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And she was having auditions in Los Angeles, and this was the first time that I was like, I have to go. Like I have to go. I have never been to Los Angeles before at this time, but I was like, I gotta go. I gotta do this because I need to be in the, I need to be in the number. I need to make it. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we flew out there, and because she was a singer, and we went and was like, okay, cool, we're gonna do this. And I went and I auditioned. Her name is Onicha. And by then she went by Onicha the Church Girl, and that was my first experience of Los Angeles, of auditioning, of 300 400 people in a room or waiting area trying to get that. And came down to it became down to me and another drummer who is still really good friends with me right now. And they definitely wanted me. And so I said, okay, cool, this is what it is. But I lived in North Carolina and I was not 18.
Oh.
So when I went back, they called me and said, man, we really love you. And, we really wanted to do this. But at that time, budget wasn't super crazy. So flying out wasn't a thing. And from then on, I was just like, you know what, man, I got to get to LA. Like I got to get to LA. It's a thing. I can't miss opportunities like this, And so that's basically when it started. She was my first professional audition situation. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe we auditioned at Mapex.
Interesting.
In Los Angeles. So yeah.
Interesting, very so. But you had some really good experience. You mentioned about David and Tom and the Man. That's of the Tyler Perry, Meet the Browns. They're an incredible act of what they do. So when they came in, did they have charts? Did they have what was rehearsal like?
No, what's crazy? How I got to, man. First of all, God is so good because the way that I even got to play with Tam was. I had been rehearsing for this whole basically thing, this whole show that they were bringing her in for. And I was just going to be playing with the choir for their, praise and worship stuff or whatever. And it was a guest choir, and something happened and a bunch of things went down and I got booted. And my godbrother was just like, he knew the situation and he was just like, you know what? Just come, just wear black. Don't worry about it. Just do sound with me and be up here with me. And I was like, okay, cool. And I went, and the drummer who was supposed to be playing, he was late. And I just went to go check tones for drums. Yeah. So as I'm checking the tones, David and Tam, they walk in, and she's coming to sound check. So, once that happened, when they came in, I finished all of that and I was walking out, and she was just like, are you playing tonight? And I was like, no, ma'am, I was just here. I'm just doing stuff for sound. And she was like, well, you sounded good. We've been doing this. And she was like, well, where's the other drummer? And I was just like, well, we don't know. We didn't know. And of course I had been listening to her because, gospel music, I had been listening to her and do her thing for years. And so I knew the songs, and she was just like, well, just let's do it. And she started sound checking, and I said, all right. And I got on drums and I played. Then after we finished sound check, she said, the other drummer's not playing tonight. You're playing.
What confidence you were able to listen. It's dependent on your ears how you were able to listen to it and learn it. Do you write out? Do you make notes or charts, or do you?
Dom, I'm gonna be completely honest and transparent with you. I can't read a thing. I will say this though. I am starting to do it more, just kind of now, just really beginning into knowing what it is. And I have a great guy named Joel McCrae who is helping me in my latter years,
Right.
in doing that. But what I do is probably what a lot of other people do, is because we're drummers, right? So we play loud. I've heard you say this before. We make noise, right? And we just organize the noise. Well, you can't organize noise in an apartment, or what I'm saying, or a house, something like that. So I listen to music a lot, and that's how I rehearse when I can't go to a space to rehearse and all that kind of stuff. I would just listen to it. And not even necessarily do it on pillows or anything like that. I just listen to it. And for me, I listen to everything. So I hear vocals, lyrics, bass, guitar, all of that kind of stuff, because that's just how I process information. Right. That's what I listen to. So, okay, this lyric is leading here. So this is going to go to, okay, they went to the 4 on here. So now I can go, and so that's kind of how I learn music, is I just listen to it.
Boy, how cool. Do you play any other instruments?
I don't really. I mean, I play keys enough to make tracks,
right?
But that's about it.
So this natural sense of being able to take ownership of the music, this is something which I want people to really understand. I mean, there's book learning, and there are thousands of drumming books that are out there that are all good books to learn from, and that's an extremely important part of it. And there's listening to music, which is another important part of it. And then there's playing music.
Yeah.
And then practicing kind of comes in there. So between playing with different musicians, between listening to as much music, and between practicing, that's a part of how we can kind of put our style or our sound together.
Absolutely. So, that's literally how I do it. Like I said, because I was never able to really just kind of play, in the house, or, where we lived and stuff like that. And so the only time that I would really get to play was at rehearsal for whatever I was doing. Or sometimes even on the cover gigs, you're not necessarily rehearsing. You're just coming in and they're saying, we're going to do these songs, right, that we sent. And that's just kind of it. Or they didn't send the songs and they just said, hey, we just going to flow tonight. Yeah. And that's a lesson that church taught me, was because there was no set list. It was literally, okay, this is what it is. And if the Holy Spirit moves, then the Holy Spirit moves, and we got to figure it out. So even to this day, chemistry and looking and, reading the room and reading and connecting, on stage with the musicians was all a big thing for me.
Boy, that is so fantastic. So, I've got a note here from Bob Terry. I want to bring Bob Terry up here.
That's my guy.
Bob Terry is a phenomenal guy. He's a phenomenal drummer himself. He knows more about drums than most of us combined. He says, hope you're well. Bruce, it's good to see you. And Marvin was a dear friend of his. I'm happy to hear that you admired him and looked up to him. That's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Marvin was literally, he was the person that I found out about everybody else after I literally studied him. Every DVD that he did, everything that he was on, I wanted to do that, because I knew that I wasn't the amazing and incredible chopper, and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that I wasn't the real technical guys who, knew what they were doing and their rudiments and all that kind of stuff. But I knew that he was kind of like a master of both. And I said, I can play like him. I can model myself, after him a little bit, and I can get by, by doing that. But I studied that man, and yeah, man. And he was great. And I got to meet him a couple of times. and that it was just great.
Boy, Bruce, great question, Bruce. Thanks so much, Bruce.
And Bob, man, thank you, man. I love you. I owe a lot to Bob as well, man. Bob, great guy.
Bob is a gem, man. He's one of these great guys that's got incredible knowledge in drumming. Bob, thank you so much. Great question. Let's go here now. Look at this one here. Michelle Lang Raymond. Bruce
is my God.
Ambition and professional, proud and inspired by him.
So Michelle Lang is literally one of those people that she basically started my career too.
Wow.
I mean, I've known her.
She's
in Seattle.
Oh, she's in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah, she's an artist. And she's amazing. And I literally, when I moved back to Seattle, we basically reconnected because she's known me since I was born. I mean, my parents have known her for years and all of that. And I grew up, and she had this group that was like amazing. Pacific Northwest. She was literally like the Beyonce of the Pacific Northwest. Like that's just, especially in church, like that's what it was. She had records, she did shows, and it was like a thing. It wasn't like the nice little A&B selections of church. It was like, no, we're gonna do lights and camera and dancers and all that kind of stuff. And I got a chance to be able to play, for her. And then she actually introduced me to the music director space. And so I started being her music director, and I owe a lot to Michelle.
Nice.
Shelly, I love you. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. So, I mean, these are people. Michelle, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing you perform some. That's very, very exciting. These are people that have kind of entered your life. I mean, listen, think of it. How blessed have you been that you have had these people enter your life and guide you along the way and to deliver a path that you just kept on walking down? But, you stayed true to yourself. You stayed honest to yourself. And you are a gentleman of great humility, and I think that those are great qualities.
Thank you. I think that's my biggest thing, man. To everybody, I just want to be genuine. You know what I mean? Like, playing drums is great, and we all do it, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I just love people, and I love connecting with people, and I just want to be genuine. I don't ever want my name to be out in the mud or, anything like that. Like, gigs are gigs. I can get another gig. That's not a thing. But being able to be in the presence of people and learning, how they are and really connecting, with people, that's my thing. Like I said, when we met, it was literally from day one, Dom is my guy. Period. And
so
I
gotta tell you something. I mean, when I heard you play, and I mean, you really are, and as a person, you carry yourself so well. You're articulate. You are very, very clear in what you're achieving in your life, and you're extremely honest at doing it. And you really are this next generation. I've been doing this a long time. I've been a professional player for, my gosh, since the age of 12. So that's 55 years of me doing it.
Right.
And I look at myself in the winter of my life as I'm still having fun performing and recording and teaching. And I look at the next generation of yourself, Bruce, and this really comes down to a point of being able to be so honest to the art form that as drummers, we are a part of a very, very unique family, that in this music industry, we meet incredible people, and our job is to organize our talents to inspire people to aspire.
Yeah. Wow.
To lift people. It really is. It's about lifting people, and you're doing that. So, I mean, I believe you are that next generation that's continuing and doing that.
Thank you. That means a lot. That absolutely, and you know how much that means. Coming from you. That's amazing, man. That's all I want to do.
Fantastic. Let's go to here. This just gentleman here now is Carlos Gutzman. Carlos Gutzman is a phenomenal drummer down in the Miami area. I've known Carlos for many, many years.
Oh yeah, Carlos.
He's a great player. He also is a production manager and drum tech for people like Max Weinberg and Brown and so many great guys, and Lee Levin and Richie Bravo. He said, have you had a chance to perform in musical theater as a drummer? And did you ever, after you're playing, knowing what an actor demands in that environment for the musician? So have you ever?
Oh, for sure. I want to say 2015 to about 2017, I did plays under this playwright and director named Jacarius Johnson that I was afforded to work with through my guy Dre Gray out in Los Angeles. He called me one day and said, "Hey, what are you doing for the next, few months?" And I said, "Nothing." And well, actually, he was like, "What are you doing for the next 3 months?" "Nothing." "Okay, cool. You're gonna go out on the road with me, and we're gonna do these plays." And I was just like, "Okay." And that was my introduction to to the theater world outside of being on stage as an actor. And I learned so much from that experience. And of course, me being an actor, yes, just like Carlos said, I definitely altered a little bit of my playing just because I knew what it would bring to a certain degree. At that point in theater, it's all about dynamics.
Yeah.
It's all about being in and out. It's all about accompaniment. There's no flashy anything. You're not seen at all. So people don't even know. Sometimes we would play and they would just be like, "Oh, wait, there's a band? There's a real band here?" And that's how it was. So yes, Carlos, that was a great time and a lot that I learned from doing that. And I respect the drummers and the musicians in the pit because who do this on Broadway and do those types of things. I think my guy Q Robinson is in here. Yeah, Quentin Robinson is in here.
Yeah.
And he's actually doing amazing things with A2 Proud. And so he knows when it comes to this theater stuff, man. He's amazing. He's been doing it for years. So I took a little bit from him and what I've learned and call him up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this, and this?" So, but yeah, I did, Carlos. I altered a lot of knowing me being an actor and being able to play during theater.
Fantastic. Thank you, Carlos. So here's Quentin, my little brother. So proud of you, Bruce. Keep pushing the bar, brother. I'll see you at the top, man. That's fantastic.
That's my guy, man. That is literally my guy. I talk to Q all the time. He is yep, nope, not gonna do it. Not crying today. Just
boy, Quentin, thanks.
But no, that's my guy. He helps me a lot when it comes to just being a man and being a drummer. He's another one of those guys that connect, with you very, very well and understand what this community is.
This is fantastic. Quentin, thank you so much. You also have so many people. Look at this one here. Jeremy Lewis.
J Magic.
Woo.
That is my dude, man. That is literally my guy. I met Jeremy just kind of like on a whim, and we went through the whole LA experience together. He is now happily married, and I think he's living in Germany, and phenomenal player, phenomenal guy. Always been supportive since the day we met, and I support him wholeheartedly. And I mean, another guy, he does snare and he's rudiments. That guy is amazing. So I've learned a lot from him as well.
Boy, it's amazing how many people you have, Joe. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. Really, how many people you have in the support of the bigger picture. Look at this. Dad says he is proud of you.
What up, man? That's my guy and my mom. And like I said, I love them.
Boy, coming from your mom to have that kind of support is
absolutely.
Sure. But you got so many people here. Ivan Payne.
Ivan.
Another guy.
Joe. I call him the Groove Master. I grew up under Ivan in Seattle, and he lives in Dallas now. Actually not too far from me. But I learned a lot from him. Grooving, you're talking about pocket and knowing and understanding the music.
Yeah.
Ivan Payne all day long. No question about it.
Thanks, Ivan. Thanks for joining us. So did you have a chance in with a lot? I mean, you've had so many different bands that you played in, whether it was a one-off song or whether it was just, going out with them, Darwin Hobbs, Anthony Hamilton, Mario. I mean, so many people, Shantae Moore, Dawn Robinson. You've got so many people, Leon Thomas.
Yeah,
Jason Guthrie. You've got some serious players that you've been around with. I mean, that's you're serious in the amount of musical influence that you have
yeah.
that you have been exposed to.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. That when I said that I wanted to go out and, you know, when I said that I wanted to move to Los Angeles, of course, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was going out there to act. That was my thing. And I knew that drums was going to be like the 9 to 5 for me to, to basically pay my bills.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, okay, I'm not getting anything, that is pretty much bringing me, I believe that whole Hollywood, LA thing at one point. And it's always been a thing where I was like, I want to be versatile as much as possible so that when I get out to LA, I can do whatever. I can do any gig. I can do all of that. And the first gig that actually brought me to Los Angeles was Kelly Price. And I got that call. And when I got that call to do Kelly, who is an amazing and phenomenal R&B singer, she's written for everybody. She's worked with Diddy, and a lot of the major 90 R&B hits, pretty much from Bad Boy, was Kelly. And and Kelly, she has that R&B, but she also has those influences of a little bit of everything. So when that opportunity came up, I said, I'm going. I'm out. I'm going and I'm doing this. And I got it. And I was very, very grateful that, she wanted me and we connected. And just from there, it just kind of built. And I just started doing the Los Angeles thing. And, like I said, you want to be versatile. You want to make sure that that you can't do the gospel chops on a pop situation. You know what I mean? You can't just play the pop stuff when you're doing a jazz thing or a musical theater thing. And it was that TV is a big thing, of course, in Los Angeles. So that was the thing. I was like, I just want to be able to be ready for whenever somebody calls me, I can do it.
Right. Boy, it's so great to be that prepared. Did your traveling ever take you over to Europe?
I have not been to Europe yet. My wife, she's actually on here. I vicariously live all of my Darian Elliott. I live all of my overseas life vicariously through her. So I haven't been to Europe yet, but I mean I've gone to Canada 1,000 times.
Yeah. So in doing so, I guess the part of this too is that if you're performing these different bands, do you use the same setup in each band, or do you have do your drums?
I mean, R&B to pop, sort of, kind of. And I'm kind of like I got into changing up sets. Because for me, I always feel like I'm a late bloomer when it comes to drums and setups and sizes and sounds and tones. Because I was just like, man, I just grew up in church. I just wanted to play drums. Like, I don't know the technical, but as I started to learn, more about what tones and what worked for the different genres of music, is when I basically started switching, things up. When I was with Bozzy in 2018, I know we haven't got there yet, but like when I was with him, I was able to open. Bozzy was opening up for Camila Cabello, and Chris Johnson was the drummer for Camila, and he taught me so much on that tour. I mean, we've been friends for years, but I never got a chance to really. I haven't got a chance to really sit with him as much as we did.
Yeah. He
taught me so much about tones. And I mean, I had a ride cymbal, and I was looking through a setup, and I was like, Chris, you don't have a ride. And he was like, we're playing pop. What am I going to ride? And I was like, so I gladly took my ride cymbal off, put it in the cymbal bag, put my other 20-inch cymbal up there. And that's what it is. That's what I've been using ever since. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, talk about your setup. That's a Saturn V back there, the Mapex Saturn V, I believe. Right?
So this is a Saturn V. I think it's the black ash or whatever the case may be. I have the 10, 12, 16 right now up there, but it's a 10, 12, 14, 16. Of course, with the amazing Mapex drums all day. What is this? I have the atomizer snare that is on there,
Nice.
which is amazing. And then I'm like the cymbal king. Everybody jokes about how many cymbals I play, and literally I play all of them. I want to let everybody know I play everything. It's not just for looks, although I do like look. But yeah, man. I mean, it's great. 20 by 22 kick, and 18 by 20 kick. Amazing Pisces cymbals. Mark Evans.
That's a smaller bass. That's a 20-inch.
Yeah, it's very punchy though. It's very punchy, and that's one of the things that I love, especially recording, because I've been doing sessions and stuff like that. Of course, during the pandemic, which I was never really a session guy like that before. I always just loved to play live, and then Q Robinson, Ivan Payne, Reggie Johnson, Ced Mitchell, those guys were the guys that I would literally glean from and say, oh, okay, you guys are doing sessions. Like, this is a whole nother world, to me. Steve Maestro, Steven Robinson, those guys, I would just be like, okay, let me get into this. Let me see how I can do this, the session stuff. And I learned more, like I said, about tones and recording and, and all of that. And so Mapex has always been a thing. I love these drums. Everything that I've done, I was in a rock band for 2.5 years. And when it came up for them to say, hey, we want to get a band kit, at the time, Joe Hibbs, that guy is literally the king. I called Joe up and I was like, Uncle Joe, you want to know what else? I'm letting you know what else. I'm in a rock band now and they need a kit, and I got the Armory kit and I toured with that forever. Loved it. I got a Saturn IV kit, and that was the hybrid kind of purple, the red and blue one that that was there. And yeah, I can talk about this stuff all day long. I know like 12 minutes, but that was
it's so great that you mentioned Joe Hibbs. We lost Joe in 2016, and he was such a visionary on how he knew how to choose and associate with people like yourself that he saw a future in, and he saw you being the potential of the next generation. And because we talked about it, many years ago, and he was excited to bring you aboard.
Yeah, man. He and I have to credit too. Let me go back. 2009, kind of quick story. 2009, I went to go see my god sister. She was singing background for India Ari, and they were opening up for John Legend.
Oh, yeah.
And after the show, I knew a couple of people, and of course, I got to meet the great Rashid Williams. And he's gonna kill me for saying that, by the way. But I got a chance to go on stage, and I met him, and he was like, "Oh man, you played, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Man, what drums are these?" Because I believe the logo was on it. I don't know if he had John's face on the back. I don't think I could see it, so I didn't know. And he was like, "Go ahead and sit down." And he gave me a stick, and he was like, hit him. And I hit the drums, and I was like, what? And he was like, Mapex. And I was like, no way. Because back in the day, Mapex was they were always like great sounding and tone drums, but it wasn't upper echelon or whatever the case may be at that time. And then we went and did a whole reboot, and now, I mean, anyway, but he was like, yeah, they're Mapex drums. And I said, no way. And he was like, yes, like they're rebranding, they're doing certain things, and just be on the lookout. And I said, okay. And from that day forward, Rashid Williams has been the big brother that I can call at any time. He can call at any time. And he literally led me through this, through this journey to that. And then coming into that, I was able to meet Joe through my other guy, Jason Holt, who really kind of brought me in, and then Philip Jargui, and they introduced me to Joe. And when I talked to Joe, he was that person. He was genuine and really wanted to get into the weeds of who you are at heart. Yeah. Drums was a thing. That's nothing. But who are you, and why do you want to do this? And if you play Mapex, why do you want to play Mapex? What is that? And when I talked to him, I told him, I said, Joe, I don't want to be another number. I really want to be a part of a family. Yeah. And he was just like, okay. Yeah. And it was that. And I mean, we talked, of course, all the time. He would call me just regular, random times, just saying, how are you? What's going on? Did you eat today? Are you good? And I'm like, Joe, you're supposed to be working, man. And he would sit on the phone, for hours and just talk about life. I'm like, we was gonna talk about drum. I thought, but that was the guy, and I miss him to this day. Anytime you see anytime I do hashtags or whatever, I always do a hashtag that says this one's for Hibbs, and that's the thing. I think I'm gonna make a shirt actually that says that. But yeah, so that is my guy, and he signed me, and between him and Phil, and I appreciate that guy so much, because he taught me so much, just more, and really put it in my head to say, what we do is what we do, but who we are is way better than what we do.
And that's the power of Joe Hibbs. I met Joe back in the 1970s, in the late 70s. So I went back. I knew Joe for well over 40 years.
Yeah.
And it was just, he really had an insight into people. And listen, he called me literally every morning at 6 a.m. Every morning. It didn't matter whether it was Christmas Day. It didn't matter no matter what, whether it was my anniversary. It didn't matter. He called me up 6 in the morning. What's up? Let's talk. And we talk every day.
Yeah. I think I would talk to Joe probably about 3 times a week. If it wasn't Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it was sometime in that day. And we would talk for a minimum of 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the thing was, he made you feel like you were the only person that he did that to. Yeah. So then when you talk to everybody else, they're like, oh, you was on, okay. Like, am I special or am I not special? But you definitely feel special. But nah, man, that dude, he was amazing. He is the man.
Great memories. Tell me a little bit about the Hit Culture Digital.
Okay, so Hit Culture Digital is a digital entertainment company that I started crazy during the pandemic. Officially, I've always done things kind of in that name to a certain degree, but officially I started to do it. That's basically my place and my creative hub to kind of work, with my friends on other projects and stuff like that. And it just kind of grew into a thing to where people really locked in with me and said, hey, you have this vision of basically putting all of the things that you love when it comes to music, TV, film, producing, podcast or, shows, photography, videography. It was just kind of like that business and that hub for me to be able to do that and open it up to other people, the underdogs and the people who are kind of being shied away from, the big brands or whatever the case may be. And I was just like, man, I just wanted to do something for the indie talent that the majors don't necessarily, see as much. Right. And so, so we're doing some really cool things. I got a couple of things that are happening. I got a couple of things that are happening this year. I'm really excited to announce, and it's great. I mean, now I have the studio here in Dallas, which is actually North Richmond Hills. But I have a studio now, the facility, we're recording stuff here, and I have an indie label and indie touring company. Of course, when COVID, when all this kind of opens back up, but we're doing a few things, and I'm really excited about it. Really, really excited about it.
Really fantastic. Now culture is with a K.
Cultures with a K.
So it's hit culture with a K.
Yes.
Digital.com.
Yes.
I want people to know that so they can go out there and check it out. And if they have any questions, they can reach you through that account for sure.
Absolutely.
And also your Facebook is Bruce Briggz Official.
Well, yeah, that's a page, but Bruce Briggs is my main personal page.
Your main Facebook page, okay?
Yeah.
And then Twitter is also at Bruce Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel is Bruce Briggs, and also your Instagram account.
Yes. Yes.
So people can track you down and reach you through any of the social media.
For sure.
For sure, if they want to track you down. And again, hitculturedigital.com is extremely important. Boy, I tell you something. It's really, really fantastic, Bruce, to have you here. I got a kick out of this comment here. We're going to go, babe. No worries.
That is the love of my absolute life. That is my wife. I left Los Angeles for her, and I did not go back. And she is amazing. She saved me. She is the GOAT. That is literally the woman of my dreams, and I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to go to Europe or wherever. We can go to McDonald's down the street, and it doesn't matter. But that is the woman that I love and that I'm absolutely in love with.
Well, I have a feeling that when she says we're going to go to Europe at some point, no worries.
Dom,
it's going to happen.
Yes, and you absolutely know. She is the executor. She is the person that says, if we're going to do it, this is what it is. And yes, so I just got a little bit more excited now. And she said it in front of other people. So I could be like, babe, you said that we were,
committed to it. That's exactly right. Darian Elliott, you are absolutely sweet. I look forward to meeting you sometime too, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us. I tell you something, Bruce, fantastic. It's great to have this time with you because you really are, again, you are a great example and a great role model for where drumming is going. You're dedicated to your craft. You're creative with it. You are open to all different types of music situations, and now you're MD with Chrisette Michele, right?
Well, I stopped in, I want to say that was 2018, but but that was an amazing and great experience. And in doing that, I actually was doing plays. Through doing the play is when I connected with Chrisette. I mean, I had known her before, but I got the MD gig doing the plays with her.
Oh, interesting.
And she said, hey, I'm doing this new thing or whatever the case may be, and I want you to be a part. And that's basically what happened. And so it was great. I had a blast, and I got to hire my friends. And now actually one of the keyboard players that I hired, he is the MD now. After basically I resigned, but no, that's great. Still great relationship. That's my sister for life. We are, ever connected, and yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you, Bruce, on behalf of Mapex and our All Access channel here. This is fantastic. This interview, although it's live on Facebook, will eventually be available on Facebook on their page, but also it'll go to the Mapex YouTube channel.
Oh,
and it'll be available there that you can have that. You can share that with it too. So you've got tons of people that kind of followed you here, and
man,
it's just
and what's up, man? I'm sorry. I know we going here. So many people.
I want to see if I can. Let me get my mouse. I want to see if I can pull this up here. What was this here?
Oh, actually, yeah. So with Chrisette, we got the chance to do the last state dinner for the Obamas.
Oh my gosh!
Michelle Obama called Chrisette and said, "Hey, I want to invite you personally to do our intimate, basically, concert for the last state dinner of our administration." And so we got a chance to do that and meet them, and got a chance to meet President Biden now, and it was great.
How fantastic is that? Think about how blessed you are. Thank you, Delana. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Mom.
Pretty powerful. Well, you've done it, man, and you are in the process of continuing to do it.
Absolutely.
So I want you to stay safe Keep going out there and inspiring people. And you've got my number. If there's anything you need from me, you know I'm a phone call away.
Absolutely, man. I love you, Dom. Thank you so much for being an inspiration, dude.
Bruce, thank you so much. Stay well, and stay safe. All right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thanks. Bye-bye.